What up, y'all? I'm Dion. That's Tariq. One half a hoodie and the headband. We're here to bring y'all the Marquette and Xavier preview. This is a fun one. This is a really, really fun game. When you look at the Big Ten tournament, I'm gonna be honest, it feels like it starts in the semifinals, minus this game. This is a very, very fun one. A lot of other teams could make it interesting, but it would be a lot of teams playing above their opponent. This is a very even matchup across the board. Is there a team that you give the edge to in this matchup? Is there a team that throughout the season that you felt like has been better than the other?
I would lean towards Marquette in that, even though Xavier beat Marquette earlier this season, in January. Um, I would still lean towards Marquette as being the more consistent team. Marquette really has just struggled with the top teams in the conference. That's really it. And they did beat Creighton once. They lost to UConn. They lost to St. John's, both of those twice. So obviously they just lost the one in OT. So like that's a game that you still come away with pretty confidently. But in my opinion, I'm curious to see how Marquette comes out and how important they feel like this tournament is, just because of the way that the last couple of years have gone for them in the tournament, where they haven't really gone as far as they wanted.
Mhm.
Um, and again, like they beat Creighton once, they split that matchup, and then they lost both times to UConn, both lost both times to St. John's. If you're looking at it in that aspect, it's like, okay, how do you feel about going against the top teams that you're eventually going to have to play to get where you want to go?
Mhm.
And if you can't beat those teams, now granted, it's not like those teams are bad. St. John's one of the best teams in the country, but it's like you went what 1-6, 1-5 against those teams. So it's like, what are you looking at that makes you feel like you could beat all these teams? The game in January was a 59-57 win for Xavier. Um, Zachary Freemantle had 14 and 10. Dalen Swain had 12. And then David Joplin had what 18. Cam Jones only had 11 on 13 shots. Stevie Mitchell had went 2 of 11, which seems like that's on par for him nowadays. So he might shoot that exact same thing because he hasn't been shooting well as of late.
Mhm.
I would still say Marquette has the advantage just because of I think they have more talent. They have more consistent games under their belt, especially in the conference. Going what 13-7, and then well, I guess both of them went 13-7. So never mind. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. I just feel like Marquette on paper and through the eye test has been the better team, but Xavier is one of those teams where like you feel like when they go into a game, it always feels like they're gonna steal a game that they shouldn't win.
Mhm.
Whether they're in the big tournament, their conference tournament, it always feels like Xavier is one of those games where it's like, oh, we play like if they're a 6 or 9 seed, you're like, we play Xavier? Shit. Like,
Mhm.
I just feel like you see that name and there's something about it that's just like, damn, I really don't want to play them.
Yeah.
And I feel like Marquette is gonna have a little bit of that because they're coming off a huge game against St. John's that they just lost in overtime. There could be a letdown for them as well in terms of just energy and being ready for this game. Um, I think it's going to come down to motivation. Which team wants it more? Which team wants to win and get further in this tournament? Um, so yeah, that's how I would look at it for Marquette and Xavier's perspective.
Yeah, I definitely agree. What I think is interesting about this matchup is a few things. When you see Xavier, you don't want to have to play them because of how hard they play. What's interesting
Mhm.
is Marquette's going to play just as hard. Right, like that. Their identities are extremely similar to where it's like everything that makes you not want to play Xavier. I'd argue you also don't necessarily want to have to play Marquette for the same reasons. The biggest difference between the two teams, and I'm probably going to give away which way I'm leaning a bit here. Marquette has a legit NBA dude in Cam Jones.
Yeah,
According to the most recent NBA.com mock draft, Jonathan Wasserman has him going 27. Tankathon has him mocked at 19 at the moment. So, I mean, between the two, Tankathon's does look slightly outdated, I'll be honest. But between the two, it's like, hey man, this is a first round pick. Like he doesn't have to
yeah,
be concerned about getting picked. Like that's a legit NBA guy. I view him as a guy that could have a phenomenal career in the NBA just based off how hard he plays. We're talking about like a 8 to 10 year guy,
Yeah,
not like a swing and miss like he was here for a few years and we
right.
don't hear about him. I very much so think he can contribute to a team, and I personally believe this. To win in March, you have to have an NBA due. Marquette has that. I love Shaka Smart. I know people are a little up and down on him at the moment. I personally love Shaka Smart, and they play really hard. This is one of the most dangerous teams in the country to me. If they have a good Big East tournament run, I will be choosing them to go entirely too far in my bracket. And I personally can't wait to do it. I honestly can't wait to do it. I'm gonna have them going just entirely too far, but I'm really impressed with this Marquette team. I really like what they bring to the table. Xavier is one of those teams that, like you said, you don't want to have to play them. I think he broke it down perfectly in terms of Xavier, which is what we're about to get into when it comes to the Ken Palm line. So Ken Palm has this game, Marquette winning at 75-71. So we're going to use a 4 point spread here. That's a lot of points. I just did all that Cam Jones stuff. That's a lot of points for Marquette against Xavier. That's a lot of points. But what way would you be leaning? Do you think this is a game that Marquette can win by 5 plus points? Or do you think this is a game that kind of comes down to the final possession?
Yeah, I think this comes down to one of the final possessions. The one game they played went to a one possession game, at least by the final score. I can't exactly remember. I'm pretty sure I did that game, but I can't exactly remember how the game ended. I don't think there was a buzzer beater or anything like that. So there may have been like someone shot up some bullshit at the end, and now it's a 2 point game. Um, I would lean towards Marquette to win the game, but I do think Xavier keeps it close, like really close, um, like scaredly close in Marquette's in Marquette's eyes.
I agree. I agree. So I would I think Marquette wins this game. I can't say everything I just said to go away from that. I wholeheartedly believe Marquette wins this game. Don't get me wrong. They're not going to win by more than 4 points though. This is going to be a close one. I think Marquette wins by like 2 or 3 points. I'm not saying they necessarily hit a game winner, but like maybe they miss a free throw or something like that
Right.
that keeps the game close. But it's going to be a 1 or 2 possession game
I
down
agree.
the stretch. And that's the reality of it. I think these two teams are way too evenly matched. They're way too similar in their styles.
Yeah.
Um, it's also both of their first games of the tournament. Had Xavier played yesterday or had Marquette played yesterday, I think
Yeah.
I would lean one towards the team that played. Or excuse me, we're recording this on Wednesday. So today, had they played
Right.
today in the first round, I think I'll lean towards the team that played. But since neither has, I think it's going to be incredibly close. I think Marquette squeaks this one out by about 2 or 3 points. With that in mind, we will have recaps and previews for every single Big East tournament game. I'm just filling in for the headband at the moment. I ain't got one on me though, but the headband's going to be back soon. So like, comment, and subscribe and enjoy the Big East tournament.